Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hi, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
Allison, is it Monday Night Football that has that thing that goes like, it's Monday? We need a thing.
We need a thing. Well, now you got the whole football song in my head. I want to be.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
We're happy that you've joined us this week, and we hope you have a great week. We're going to talk today about the fact that education isn't done to people or children. It's done alongside people.
Yeah, it's done with people.
With people.
Yeah.
A college student of mine, I'm teaching like the first course that people take in their major when they're early ed majors. And one of the students toward the end of the course, they're asked to write about what they've learned. And so they're writing about the theories they've learned about and the learning approaches they've learned about. And one student wrote that she learned that education isn't done to people. And I was like, wow, that's right.
Really right. Yeah.
That is so right.
It's like the difference between talking to someone or at someone or talking with someone, right? I feel like there's a difference there.
There's a big difference there. And humans have to be participants in their own learning, or they shut it off. They turn it off. They don't take it in. They have to be interested in it. As we know, they have to be an active part in it. They can't be passive learners all the time to really absorb more information and more skills. So it's true, education can't be done to them, which led me to the notion that the word teacher has been sort of morphed, I think. Or no, maybe it does apply to how people taught in the past.
I think it's just
we need a better word. We need a better word.
Yeah.
Too much of how we perceive ourselves as teachers is tied to how we were taught.
Yeah.
There's so much more information out in the world now about how people need to be taught that I think we need to come up with a new word. Teachers are supposed to be facilitators. So that's one word. We're facilitators of learning, but honestly, I can't make somebody learn something that they don't want to learn. So we're dependent upon the children being participants in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like as a teacher, you need to learn how to engage the children so that they do become participants. So,
it's systems like, or educational approaches like Montessori, the Montessori method, Reggio Emilia, even project-based learning, maybe not to the same exact extent as Montessori and Reggio Emilia, but still it's true of project-based learning.
Yeah.
That really have children leading the way more so that they're fully active participants in their learning. They are determining the things that interest them, and the teachers are facilitating skill building and content or subject area building based on where the children go. They follow their path.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where. I guess it's because the way we were taught when we were kids was just so different. But why don't we trust the children to learn on their own? Right? I mean, clearly our teachers did not trust us to take us on this journey.
Clearly
they did not. Right? But now we know differently. So like, why aren't teachers embracing this and saying, hey, you know what, like, or even entire school districts just, because in other countries, they do that, where the children are on this path and it's their path, it's their journey, and they learn on their own a lot, and the teacher's just there to facilitate and help along the way, not to actually like sit them in this room. And like, it's very different. So why are we so behind? in
we've always
believing
been
that.
we've always
Yeah,
been
I
in the
don't
United
understand
States.
that.
We've never been in the top list of top countries for education. It's always been like Finland.
Finland's I would
Finland's
love to
always
teach
been at
there.
the top, right?
You
It's
know?
always been
Yeah.
places abroad, not here, where the top-notch things take place. And why have we not leaned more toward that? Because people are so afraid of change. Also, it's the whole, in the United States, it's the whole notion of individual independence that makes people a little rebellious, I think. We're an independent culture. We're an independent culture. So people tend to want to exert independence, sometimes in ways that are less productive than others. I think, when we think about the fact that education can be done to children, it has to be done alongside them. We have the opportunity to better individualize our work with them if we look at it from that perspective. No two learners learn alike.
Yeah. So why teachers are teaching the same is something that really always confuses me.
We talk all the time with early educators about individualizing what they do, taking observation notes, individualizing based on the needs of each child. And you're going to have certain times a day where everybody is doing things as a group, right? Oh, yeah. But not all day. And in fact, not the majority of the day. And those are not the most important times of day.
No. Right?
It's way more important when you're having one-to-one and small group interactions with the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then you can individualize and work alongside them. How do we work alongside them? The children are doing something and we go in there and jar their thinking. And I'm always saying it in this podcast, ask open-ended and good questions that make them think. We go in there and we give them some additional facts based on what they're doing. You can go in with kids playing with blocks and count the blocks and how many blocks tall did it take for you to do that? And if we add or subtract blocks, and now I'm using math language. And,
you're building vocabulary that way. And
but in a really natural way.
Normal way, just like part of the conversation.
Yeah. So maybe we need, I almost wish that we would stop calling it teachers and we would call them educational facilitators. It's kind of, it reminds me of the whole, there was a period of time when the titles for jobs were all morphing into these kind of, I don't know what word to use for it, fancier titles.
Fancier, more sophisticated kind of titles.
There you go. More sophisticated. Thank you, Alison. More sophisticated titles. And I think that we also need to look at the titles for educators and realize it isn't about us. You know what? I can't be an educator unless the children are open to the education being provided. We're dependent on them. So we're actually like education facilitators, education guides. Only I can increase my knowledge, anyone can throw any information at me and I am in charge of increasing my own knowledge. It's true for children too. You can throw any information at them, but unless they're open to it and interested in it, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any better words for it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
But I started thinking of like adults, like think of that. Like if somebody's talking to you about a subject that you're like, I really don't care. Right? Like,
and it happens.
And it happens all the time. Like, am I absorbing any of that information at all? No, because I don't care. Okay. No. Like I'm just being polite at this point by listening. But as soon as I leave you, it's gonna go out of my brain because I didn't want to absorb any of that.
That's when someone is telling you about work and then 2 days later mentions something important about work and you're like, you didn't tell me that. And the person's like, yes, I did.
Yes,
you weren't listening. Why weren't you listening? It didn't interest you or sometimes you weren't open to it. Yeah. You were busy in your own head.
Something else. Yeah. You're thinking about your own interests. So it's the same thing with kids. Like if you really get them in and engage them into something that they're really interested in, and then pop in all of those curriculum items into that thing that they're interested in, now they're going to remember it.
Right. We got to pop it in there. You got to know when to insert it. You have to know your teachable stuff. The pop in education.
Pop in.
Oh my goodness. If only we would, even if the formal titling isn't going to change. I encourage everyone to think of yourselves as educational facilitators. Yeah. And families are too, you know, and families are educational facilitators of knowledge.
Yeah.
My kids talk about how when they were young, other people went to amusement parks for vacations, but we went to historical sites. You know why?
Are they mad about this?
Now they're not. Now they're grateful for it as adults.
Yeah.
Now they're like, look at how much information I know and what I've experienced.
Yeah.
But as kids, they were like, oh my gosh, we are not going to another one of those historic places, are we? And I'm like, yeah, I think we are. I think we're going to go to a historic place on this vacation. And when I think about it, I was always an educational facilitator to my kids because I made them do that.
You absolutely were.
Also, I really enjoy it myself. Yeah. But it worked out well that I enjoy it myself, that my husband enjoys it, and that the kids were there.
They were just there. They were there. And yeah.
I think that even if you're not going to take your children to things like historic places, if that's not your cup of tea, you know, if that's not your thing, that's fine. Think about how you can be a facilitator.
You could absolutely do a lot of learning at the amusement park, though. You could.
Yeah, you can. I like them too, by the way. I'm not dissing amusement parks.
I do believe we have talked about your whole, like, I would make the kids go on roller coasters when they were really scared in previous.
So you're saying I should have talked about physics as we were waiting for the coaster to go down the hill?
Perhaps. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could have. You could. I'm just saying that all adults have different knowledge. So like if you are a physics, what's that called? Not a physician, a physics.
Now I don't know because you said physician.
But that's not
physicist.
True. A physicist. Thank you.
Oh my
if you
gosh.
are a physicist and you
hard.
have children and you take them to the amusement park, why not say stuff like that? Because even though they're going to be like, okay, mom, dad, whatever. In the end, like there might be some kid that be like, wow, that's really interesting. And 20 years from now they're a physicist or they are doing science or you know what I mean? There's so much that you can learn. You never know. There's also animals and stuff at the amusement park that you can.
Okay. All righty. I think adults just need to take a step back and realize we can't just unzip their skulls and pour information in. That doesn't work.
Right. And what I'm trying to get at is anywhere could be an educational experience. So if you take them to the park, you know, you can make that into an educational experience. You don't have to be, you know, have a teacher certification to do that. You know, you as a mom, dad, parent, grandma, whoever can do that by simply going outside or even inside. Like you can facilitate learning at any time during the day.
But the kids have to want to receive it. So it has to be fun.
It has to be fun.
And it has to be, you know, palatable to them and based on interests. And even if it has to be so that the children want to receive it. The children, otherwise you hit a like a brick wall, you know?
Well, I think it has to just come very naturally. If you make it naturally part of the conversation, then it's just, and not like bogging down where you're like, I'm going to open up the brain and pour it in there for an hour while we're at the park. No, if you just make this into a typical conversation that you have with your kid for a couple minutes, that's it. Yeah. I mean, you know, you've opened up the doorway.
You know, here's the truth of those trips to like to historic places. The kids they didn't want to admit it, but there were things they found very interesting about it. When we would go to historic homes, one of my sons was very interested in, and it's going to sound kind of funny, do they have low-rise stairs? He really liked low-rise stairs. They're steps that are not as deep.
Like they're half steps?
Yeah, they're called low-rise. Okay. And there are a lot of historic places that have low-rise stairs. They also were very interested in, like, my kids are interested in art. And, you know, they have interests that we could tie to those places.
Yeah. Yeah.
Architecture, art, nature things. There were definitely things that we worked to tie in, because again, if you don't grasp them in some way, it's not working. You can't just say, listen, you are 4 years old, so you need to know how to do this.
Yeah. They
have to be open to taking it in. We don't do education to children. Yeah. We do education with children.
Them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when we think of it that way, hopefully that will help you to contextualize your role in their life. They're my partner in this process of learning. And in fact, as an educator, as a teacher, I'm going to have them for such a short period of time in compared to hopefully what is their lifespan, that we need to keep in perspective that the time that we spend with them has to be well spent. It's really not well spent when we try to just kind of plop education on them.
Yeah. I also feel like it makes them a little resistant to learning too. When you're pouring it on them all the time in a way that's not engaging and interesting to them, they're just kind of like, really? Like, I don't want to do this, and then they resist all learning, which is not what you want.
Right. Right. So thanks to my student, here's the phrase you should be saying to yourself all the time. I can't do education to these kids.
Yeah.
I have to do it with them, and they have to be partners in the process in order for it to stick. And I hope that people find that a nice little reminder or inspiration or reset, because it really struck me when I was reading that student's work.
Yeah, it really did.
It's true when you educate any age, by the way.
It's true.
It's true of those college students. True. It's true of children. It's true of adults. They have to be our partners. Yeah. I wish that I had some teachers like that when I was a kid, but not all.
No. Yeah. Not all.
I wish that more were. I think that they were the minority, the teachers who understood that when I was a kid, not the majority. When I go on professional development sessions and I say things like, here's what my education was like. They threw education at us. They threw information at us. They tested us to see what stuck. They didn't relate it to my real life. They didn't relate it to interests. They didn't frankly care my interests. And then we all moved on. People nod and agree that that's what their experience was. So I hope that in today's world, we're doing better for the kids.
Yeah.
And we're going to just kind of leave it on that. Let's do better for the kids. If there's something that you feel like you have a way or a technique or something you really are proud of in how you partner with children in their own education, let us know. You could become a Feedback 5 acknowledgement.
Ooh, yeah.
If you let us know, if you send through our contact form on our website or on our Facebook page, then, give us permission if you would like to use your name. We do have people who write to us and say you have permission to use my name in an episode, and you never know, you may hear your own name in one of our episodes.
Yeah.
So let us know, how do you do it? How do you bring children alongside you, or you go alongside them? Even better.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the phrase educational facilitator instead of teacher?
Oh yeah. Do you have other terms that you use that might be better?
Yeah.
Or different, depending on what you're teaching. Yeah. So.
All right. We leave it in your hands, preschool peeps.
All right.
Enjoy.
Bye.